And welcome to Rauta's Indie 5 different releases in 5 different ways and also 5 different genres, give or take. Once again, going through an alphabetical order in a rather quick pace, so bear with me. I'm gonna explain these through and then you can pretty much check out which bands you want from the links provided. First we go to Finland with a split release with Rienaus and Wakboth. These are two Finnish black metal bands that have been here for quite some time. Wakboth actually going as far as mid-90s with its history, whereas Rienaus is one of the newer bands in the genre. Rienaus has already done a couple of full albums and they have proven to be very solid of these newer names. Here in this split they have 3 songs of raw, grim black metal. Wakboth is roughly the same style, however, even though they're an older band, they haven't been that much active with its music. Now both of these bands are very much fitting together. Actually they shared a member, the main guy behind Rienaus, Mav Rofos, back in 2018-2019 area, and that's when this split was released. Since that, the man in question has left Wakboth, so I don't know what's the situation or relation with these two bands nowadays, but there is common history. Now both bands play rather raw black metal in the terms of or style that was pretty much done with Dark Throne, like in mid parts of their career. Kind of rockish, but still kind of a roller, and not ultra primitive or super raw in that sense, but definitely more in the raw end versus the more melodic or atmospheric bands right there. Both are pretty much solid in songwriting, not exactly great. In my opinion, this Rienaus side isn't on par with the 2 full albums by the band, but definitely worth listening to. There's some good production fitting this kind of a raw and grim atmosphere here, and also the kind of a vocals that are, you know, ripping your souls and guts out. Wakboth is a little bit weaker in that sense, in my opinion, but both have really good ways to do this kind of black metal. Kind of a rockish in a way of, you know, Carpathian Forest and the like, but definitely worth listening to. Overall, very well balanced split as well. Then a heavy metal band from Joensuu, Finland. This is Serpent Warning with the second album Pagan Fire. Now, this is the kind of a band that could be labeled as epic doom or just heavy metal, depending on which kind of ways you want to describe or lean this one towards to. This is definitely doing in the veins of the very early years of that kind of stuff. So one could say there's certain kind of a 1980s or even 1970s kind of a vibe. Maybe still in the sense more 1980s than earlier than that kind of stuff. If you're into epic doom or epic heavy metal with kind of a slow or mid-tempo pace, this might be your cup of tea. However, it might take a little bit getting used to with the vocals, which are kind of a clean and high and all that stuff. In my opinion, they are a little bit annoying at certain aspects, but totally doable. What bothers me more, and why I can't really like this album a lot, is the songwriting, which tends to be rather dull. There are lots of melodies, lots of riffs, which just seem lukewarm to me. Not exactly anything catchy. And now I must say as a disclaimer, never been a big Doom fan, but then again there are bands that totally, you know, knock me off with its quality and like, wow. For example, the Swedish band Sorcerer. So it's not like this style cannot be done in the way that I like it. Actually, quite the contrary. When it's done properly, I'm like, all bets, wow, all in. But when it's more like this lukewarm experience where you basically have all there is to it, and you still can't do an album which is like, yay, let's do it, then it feels more like a drag. And that's unfortunately, in my opinion, like that. But like I said, if you like the style, don't care what I say, just give it a go. That is also a little bit older release, 2019 if I'm not mistaken, so give it a go if you like that. Then we travel to Italy with thrash metal, and this band is called Shenanigans. This one is actually only 20 minutes and then some, so considering this a full album is a little bit weird in my opinion, but that's at least what Metal Archive says about it, maybe even the label as well. So consider this when you're putting your money on this, that is, if you're doing that, because 20 minutes for a price of a full album seems a little bit like I don't know, a robbery to me. Anyway, this is very much leaning to thrash metal genre's very basics. This is kind of a aggressive, fast tempo, angry, and all that stuff. One could say there is definitely some kind of a hardcore or punk mentality with the music, and as such, if you like that kind of stuff, this is definitely worth checking out. However, this is nothing exactly new, groundbreaking, and all that stuff. While this is angry for sure, and fast tempo and energetic, it kind of starts to repeat itself way too quickly. Lyrics, it seems, are all in Italian, so in order to get you that feeling and, go a little bit of a sing-along, you might need to take some Italian lessons to get going. If you don't mind that, then again, and you're all about, yeah, tutti frutti, piccia, frutti di mare, yeah, alright, cool, buongiorno, then you're just ready to go with the music and all that stuff. Thrash metal with energy and punk mentality, only lacking the really killer riffs, so a little bit of a disappointment in that sense, but not bad, by no means. Then it's time to take a longer flight to United States of America, all the way to California, San Francisco, with a band called Vastum. This is their fourth album, if I'm not mistaken, and this is interesting case because it's kind of like very boring, very simple, one trick kind of a pony release that runs for some 30 minutes and then some, but once you've heard a one track, you pretty much know what to expect from the rest of the album, both good and bad. Now, if you like really dark and very heavy, with deep growly vocals, kind of a death metal, you're pretty much guaranteed to like this, at least to a certain extent. Now, the lyrics might be a little bit confusing and maybe way too poetic for my caveman mind, but I don't know. I can pretty much put them aside and not care about these rather poetic ways when this blunting old school death metal just comes grinding me down. There are parts which remind me early Bolt Thrower, but maybe in general this is more like Obituary in a way that it's mid-tempo death metal, kind of a dark and all that stuff. Now overall I wouldn't compare this to Obituary in that sense, but because this is not one of those fast tempo or technical bands, it kind of makes sense to compare this to late 80s or early 1990s American death metal bands, because this definitely sounds as an American band would do. So death metal the dark and heavy ways, and that's how to define Vastum in a simple ways. And last but not least, we have a band from Finland again. This one is Voidfallen, The Sinners, The Plague, and The Voidfallen. This is actually a self-financed release, kind of a demo, but I think the band wanted to call it an EP back in the days. Now, curiously enough, I missed this when it came out, and since that, actually earlier this year, the band released its first full album, and as such, this comes kind of late to the party because I've already gotten through that full album. Now, this EP is kind of easy to compare to that because the sound and the feel is roughly the same. One could say this is the demo version of that full album. That is the kind of a melodic metal with lots of synthesizers. One could say this is the melodic death metal version of Dimmu Borgir and the like. So instead of going symphonic black metal, these guys do it the death metal way. But the vocals are not that different. So they're kind of like blackish in the sense that melodic death metal often is kind of a blackish in the sense. But the riffs are somewhat different, and obviously the overall feeling is well, let's say less black, less dark, less grim, but roughly in the same ballpark. So once you pretty much figured out what kind of melodic death metal or metal death is all about, and you add some synthesizer, you get the idea what it's going to be. Given that this is only 3 songs, it's very easy to get into, but it's kind of unforgettable. Much like the full album by the band, this definitely lacks something catchier, something really majestic. It's very much work in progress, much like the debut album is, but this is in a way a little bit more digestible, given it's only 3 songs, some 14 minutes. Now, be it as may, if you like this demo or you started with the full album, doesn't really matter. Both are kind of the same level of quality. So if you like one, you're gonna like the other and all that stuff. And now the everlasting question in Indie 5 videos is, if I got to pick only one out of these 5 releases, which one it would be? Now, this is a kind of a tough cookie to crack because there are 2 releases, in my opinion, without which I would give the same review score, which are, in my opinion, that is the same quality. If I only had to pick one, it would depend on my mood. Had I feel more like listening to black metal, it would be this Rienaus Wakboth split. But if I was more into death metal, I would say Vastum. So it depends your preference, whether or not you're into black metal or death metal. But these two would be the best of this pile, and the rest, well, not so much, even though no single bad one is featured here. Now, check out your brain, figure out which ones you want to listen to, and click those links in the description box, and who knows, you might find some interesting bands to listen to and maybe even support with your money. Go check out the music, and I hope you like some of them. Thanks for watching, Rauta. Take care, and see you soon with more reviews coming your way.